come from. As long as you're a black man, you're an African.
What's your name, big fella?
Victor.
Where you from?
Here.
Here where? Like
Where?
okay. Now you're here at a Jamaican fest, right? Your girlfriend is your wife, and she what's her origins?
Jamaica.
Jamaican. Okay, she doesn't want to be on camera. Let me ask you a question, right? This is your wife. This is someone that you need to protect. Someone that you should be there. What are you doing to combat racism, to make her equal, right, to you in society?
To me, honestly, I don't know. If anybody says anything wrong about us, I always will be the first to speak up because it's not right. But we haven't really combated most anything.
Okay. Now don't start to sweat now. The questions are going to get harder now. Don't sweat. So let me ask you another question. Now, do you have children?
No, not yet.
No. Now, if you were going to have children with this beautiful queen right here, how would it be difficult to raise a black child? Because that child will be black, might be a little light skinned. You being a Caucasian white man, how would you go about raising a black child in a racist society?
I'd raise my child just as that, teaching them that it doesn't matter about race because they are people, they are equal. And if anybody said anything different, of course, I'd come at them.
Do you know who John Brown is?
No.
John Brown was an abolitionist, someone who fought against slavery, right? And he didn't just speak about it, he actually picked up that pistol and did some work. So he actually started the Civil War to end slavery because he believed in ending slavery so much. Where are these good white people that believe in picking up a gun to end racism, right? To end the systematic racism, to end the oppression that black people suffer throughout the diaspora? Where are those good white people? Because I want to believe that they're out there, right? But I don't see them in the masses when I look in the media. So where are they?
No, honestly, it's few and far between, so you're not going to see many of them. I know that I would be the first one to take up arms if anybody came towards me and my family.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know, one thing I noticed is that you have interracial dating sites, right? And swerve.com and all these, interracial things. But we don't have any white lives for Black Lives Matter. We don't have any. You have any to say, Queen?
No, I'd say you do have some communities online that are like that. I don't know sites for sure, but I know you have persons on Tumblr, like Black Tumblr, White Tumblr for Black people. You do have those persons around. I mean, I don't have sites specifically, but I've seen it based on the things that I follow on Instagram and Tumblr. So I think they're out there. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Now, this is your man. What drew you to dating interracially?
Honestly, I didn't think about it. I'm very open-minded. It could be anyone. It could be white. It could be Asian. It could be black. It was more of a connection of our similarities and how he treats me. It wasn't a black or white thing, honestly.
Are you familiar with Marcus Garvey?
Yes.
And his teachings of putting race first? Now, this is no shot to you, brother, but putting race first?
Not specifically, no.
Well, I just want to be informative because a lot of us have sort of stereotypical views about racism, about interracial dating. Me personally, just my personal opinion, you can call me a piece of shit if you want. I believe in black strength and black unity. And the only way to do that is through the black family, right? It's through the black family. There's a book by a gentleman named Chancellor Williams, right? It's called The Destruction of Black Civilization, right? And one of the things that he talks about in the book is interracial dating and how it destroys the black psychology and the black economics and the black everything, right? Now, do you feel, personally, this is your personal opinion, people can say that you're wrong, you can say that you're right. Do you feel in this day and age that interracial dating will stop racism?
No, I don't. It's going to be a long time coming before racism is ever put to end, if it is.
Now, I personally believe that a nuclear bomb will have to go off. We will have to destroy all history. We have to destroy every human being on the planet before racism ends. Because it's an ideology. It's socially structured in us to be passed down, right? And I believe, personally, this is me, that every white person is racist. They don't practice racism, but they have a racist ideology, right? Like, I'll give you a prime example. I have white guys that I work with, right? And they automatically start listening to hip-hop music. And they be like, hey, Hassan, bro. I'm like, yo, I don't listen to hip-hop music like that. Like, why do you assume that's a racist ideology to believe because I'm black, I must listen to rap music, you know? So I believe that in some way, we all have a racist mentality, right? Like, we all have this prejudice in us. And I think trying to hide it, trying to act like we don't, only creates more of a deficit in our psychology and in our society. How can we squash out that element of prejudice, right? Because we know that the European structures control the media. This is why I have my own media, because I want to change the narrative on what we think and what we see of each other, right? How can we destroy that dynamic of the negative images that we see of African black people? Because when I turn on TV, I don't see any positive images of black relationships. How can we tackle that?
Tackle that would actually just be the teaching the children, like the new generations. Because, I mean, that's how my father taught me, is that everybody was equal. So even though racism exists all around me, honestly, I never, like, went among it being like, oh, that person's black or that, because, I mean, honestly, we were in that type of community growing up. And my father always told me that everybody is equal. So the thing is to teach the children, and that's the only way to think anything would be different in the future.
Now, you know, one of the things that I think we overlook is the fact that this society, Western society and around the world, teaches a Eurocentric, mindset, Eurocentric education, Eurocentric, like even when you go to Africa, you go to some countries, they're not even taught about some of their heroes. Here in America, I know more about George Washington, or I knew more about George Washington than I knew about some of my heroes, right? So that creates a sort of an inferiority complex in black people, right? And if it creates an inferiority complex in black people, then it creates a superiority complex in Europeans, right? And that creates the ideology that they feel like they're better, right? I often say this: how do you get 250,000 men in the South to die for the right to own slaves and they didn't own slaves? That's a hell of a psychology, right? You go out to die for the right to own slaves, but you didn't own slaves because your race, the white skin that you own, has been taught to you to believe that it's better than anything else in your life, right? And that's something that we need to look at and something that we need to organize. Do you have anything you want to say before ending?
How do you think we can fix this issue? What do you think you can, for the next generation?
There has to be a shift of power. There have to be a shift of power. Because if you go back before the 1400s, African people primarily ruled the world, right? They had a hold on the world, economically, right? It wasn't until the slave trade came into existence that Europeans became into power, right? Because Europe failed in the Dark Ages, right? Because Rome failed and African people were just like ruling the world. African people throughout the diaspora, throughout the world, practice a sense of morality and multiculturalism. We don't hate anybody just to hate anybody. You go to Jamaica and you see Indians there, Asians there. They come there and they take over, and they don't practice that same sentiments that we practice of love. So it has to be a shift in power. Black people have to regain their power as a people, and white people have to be subjugated, knocked out of power, because they're not going to come. That's what racism is. It's about power. It's about destroying people psychologically, economically, and around the world. So it has to be a shift in power. Before I can agree to interracial dating, black people have to be on top socially. Because if not, then I look at it as in,
Wouldn't that just shift it to another form of racism, though? Don't you think?
No, black people still to this day don't practice racism at all.
You think we will be pure in that sense that we won't become what we hated?
Are we doing that now? I mean, I traveled throughout the Caribbean to Jamaica, through Haiti, Turks and Caicos, wherever you want to go. I traveled there. Traveled to Africa. White people only in South Africa, right? Because we know the history behind that. But white people are living good. Everywhere we are, they living good, and we at the bottom. And we're not trying to kill them or hate them or do anything like that. It's them that's practicing a form of racism to us.
Yeah, they're in the higher power, so I'm saying, do you think if there's a shift, we won't end up doing the same thing that they're doing?
Not at all.
There can't be a balance. You don't think there can be a balance?
I mean, we can balance power. See how that works? We can balance power, but it has to be like white people can't be the end all be all. when it comes to psychology, when it comes to economics, when it comes to beauty. They can't be the end all be all.
They have to be open to relearning and reprogramming the way that they think.
And that's going to be very hard because socialization is very, very hard. You know, I had a situation where, you know, and this is not a reflection of your relationship, but I just had a situation where, you know, I was dealing with an interracial couple and the guy was calling me a nigger, right? He was going off. And I said, but your wife is black. And he looks to her, honest to God, true. He looks to her and he says, she's a good nigger.
She just stands there like that.
She just stood there.
That's some bullshit. That's right bullshit.
Well, you know, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, no, I understand it happens, but no, that's fucking wrong. In my opinion.
That's a whole different level. That's being on a different level where you hate yourself. I think to stay with somebody that speaks like that and treats you like that, you have to hate yourself. We need to teach. A lot of black people are learning to value like the European appearance, and they're not being taught to love themselves. Like, what's wrong with being black? You know, you can love yourself and still be with somebody.
Well, we're taught that because of society, because Europeans run the society, therefore they push a Eurocentric agenda. It's always about Europeans and making us look negative. Now, one thing I want to say, I almost lost my train of thought. One thing I want to say is, why is it that when I see interracial couples, white men usually date the darkest sisters with natural hair?
I know, I see it.
I didn't start out with natural hair.
She did not.
I didn't start out with natural hair. When he met me, I had relaxed hair. I went natural like after I got married because I couldn't like deal with getting a relaxer anymore. But I didn't start out with natural hair.
Was it because of him that you
went natural? Nah. I was thinking about it for years. It was more like I didn't see where relaxer was working for me, and I wanted to shift more to natural things. Because overall, all these chemicals and things that we put in our bodies and put on ourselves, I wanted to move away from stuff like that. So it had nothing to do with going natural for him. I could say that he would be okay with whatever I chose, however I chose to dress myself. I mean, but I don't want to speak for him.
And I really noticed that. Like, I don't see white men with like biracial black girls, like those close to white girls. I always see them with very dark sisters with natural hair. Have you noticed that?
A little bit, but for me, it's because I grew up around it, and that's what I found beautiful. And I always thought that, honestly, the skin tone, features, everything was just beautiful.
Now, do you have anything you want to say in reference to interracial dating, in reference to anything? Do you have anything you want to leave off on?
I like to think that interracial dating could be a good thing, but like I said, there's a lot of assholes out there. And like you said, you've met a few.
And you know what, just add a question. Do you have any brothers?
Yes.
And a father? A father?
Yes.
How do they accept him?
Pretty well.
Pretty well?
Yeah, honestly.
And how have you adapted to the Jamaican culture?
Quite well, I think, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, okay? If you want to... Peace, family. Who do I have here with me?
Dre.
Dre, where you from, Dre?
Toronto.
What's your ethnic background?
My mom's from Trinidad, my dad's from Guyana.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a few racial questions about the makeup there in your country, right? Where do your parents originate from?
My mom, Trinidad, and my dad from Guyana, Georgetown. My mom's from like right outside of like Port of Spain, like Arima area in Trinidad.
Okay. Now, is there any racial element on the island? How are the relations between the native people, your people, and African people?
Oh, it's good, man. I think it's good. There's a lot of like black Trinidadese, black Guyanese people, Indians, Chinese, you name it. You know, it's a melting pot everywhere in the world. Everybody's getting along, and you know, I think it's good. Everybody's doing business and whatnot.
Okay. Specifically on that island, though, right?
Yeah. On that.
That's not a sentiment throughout the world, though.
Well, not necessarily, no. Which is sad, but it is what it is.
Okay, so how can we build on what your country is doing?
Just use that as an example to see, you know, that everybody's getting along and just, you know, doing business with each other. I think at the end of the day, money makes the world go around, you know, and everybody's exchanging hands and everybody's feeding each other, and I think it's great.
Now, who's on the top socially in your country?
I don't even know.
No? It wouldn't be the lighter class people?
I'd probably say the Indian class is probably the most popular class, and then followed by the black, the African. Yeah.
And you have a population of white people, right?
Yeah, there's a population of white people there out there too, man. Yeah, for sure.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you know who Marcus Garvey is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Are you familiar with his teachings of Marcus Garvey?
Here and there. Yeah.
Would you consider yourself to be African, even though your roots trace back to India? Would you consider yourself to be African?
Why not? Yeah, why not? You know, I mean, based on history, you know, Egypt and those areas is where everybody was founded, and everybody kind of dispersed from there. So to say, like, came from Africa at the end of the day, yeah, why not, you know?
No, I mean, not come from Africa. Do you consider yourself to be African?
Do I consider myself to be African?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I'd say no.
No?
Nah.
Okay. I see that in a lot of Trini people. They're like, nah, you know, Trini people that come from India, like, nah, I don't really consider myself to be African. So what do you consider yourself to really be, besides your national label?
I'll say Indian, East Indian.
East Indian?
Yeah.
That's respectable. Do you want to say anything? No? Okay. All right. Well, that's very respectable. Dre, I appreciate you for your time and your honesty, brother. All right. Enjoy your time here at the festival. Peace, family. Who do I have here with me?
Michelle.
And where are you from, Michelle?
Well, I was born in Jamaica, but I was raised here.
Okay. And what was your question?
I don't have a question.
You were asking me something about Africa, or?
No, I said, is this one of those how dumb are you shows? You know, test the knowledge and stuff like that. But I have no clue.
No, definitely not. No, this is not one of those. This is actually an educational platform, right? We're here to educate, right? So let me ask you a question. Do you know who this is on my shirt?
Marcus Garvey.
Okay. Now, do you follow the teachings of Marcus Garvey?
Not 100%.
Not 100%. I've been to Jamaica, right? And I noticed there's like a real epidemic of Asian people in Jamaica, right? How do we lose our sense of Pan-Africanism? How do we lose our sense of Marcus Garveyism in Jamaica, where now everybody could come into our country, right? Whether Haiti, Jamaica, and take over what we have and what we have built. Because when I look at the nanny of the Maroons, when I look at the people who fought for independence in Jamaica, those are African people, right? No Asian fight for no independence, no East Indian. So how do we lose that sense of pride of being black? Because this is what this flag is right here.
Okay. I don't think we lost the pride of ourselves. I just think that we allowed people to. Well, I don't think some of them were allowed in the first place. They took over. So I mean, but there are different races everywhere. So I don't really think we've lost our black, Marcus Garveyism, as you call it. So.
We have, because we're not practicing it, right? Like when I travel throughout the United States, right, and I go to like any black neighborhood, you got the East Indian corner store, the Chinese store. We don't own no businesses. We don't spend any money with each other. Like this event, for example, right? I don't know who threw this event. I don't know where this money is going. I know I paid $47 to get in here, right?
You did?
Yeah, or 35, right? Excuse me. But parking and everything, right? So I paid my money to get in here, right? Is this money going back to our community?
That I'm not sure about, but I'm pretty sure the money that we're spending on the food is going back to these black-owned businesses. So, yeah.
Now, how can we organize this next year where it could benefit our community as Africans in general? How can we organize this to kick out all? Because I'm pretty sure it's a Jewish man behind it or a white man behind it, taking advantage of our cultural product. How can we organize for us to benefit from this?
That I'm not sure, because I don't even have the facts. I don't know where the money's going, so how can I want to change something that I don't even know about? Right. So I don't really know the answer to that question. Okay. But
you have anything you want to say, man? You peeking over there in the camera?
That's my sister.
Oh, she's lovely. You're a lovely sister. All right, in and out. So now
I'm done. I gotta go. I want to go enjoy the concert.
Oh, no. I just want to tell you that I love you and I appreciate you. Okay. Now I'm a descendant of a Haitian, right? I'm descendant of a Haitian. One more question. What is the issue between Jamaicans and Haitians? Because I'm tired of this shit. What is the problem?
Well, I don't.
What's the problem? No, you gotta come here. What is the difference? You tell me what's the difference.
Well, I used to work with a lot of them, and they act as if they are different from us. So I don't know. Okay. They keep to themselves, we keep to ourselves.
Come. I got to get you on camera. Come. So here's the thing, right? If we're really practicing Pan-Africanism, we're really practicing what Marcus Garvey taught, right? There should be no difference in Haitian or Jamaican. We should put that to the side. You know, another question I want to ask. Why is Obia so looked down in Jamaica? Why don't Jamaicans practice a sense of Obia?
Because that's demonic.
Because we're supposed to be a Christian.
Those are spirits. You don't want to open those up. And plus, it's evil.
Okay.
Oh, so you're comparing that to voodoo in Haiti?
Well, you know that is our historical religion, right? Obia, Ifa, voodoo. That is where we came from, right? So when we accept European culture, we accept the religion that comes with it, the language that comes with it. This is why Jamaicans speak patois, which is broken down English. Haitians speak Creole. Like, we got to understand that wherever we will conquer that, they brought their language, their religion, and their way of life. So Obia is our religious thing. And a lot of people look at it negative, and it's not negative at all.
Well, it's always been taught to be negative
In God, it's negative.
You can believe in God and still practice Obia.
No, it's not right. No.
It's not right?
No.
So Christianity, 100%. Okay. Well, I can respect that. I appreciate you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Peace, Black family. So who do we have here?
We got Jack. What's going on? JCC. Miami, Florida coming at you. What's popping, everybody?
Okay. Now, you out here enjoying the festivities of Jerk Festival, right? Let me ask you a question. How do you relate to an Afrocentric event?
How do I relate? Personally, realistically, I can't relate. But the way I do find myself into the mix is I have a girlfriend / fiance that is from Jamaica. So I guess in the realm of being with her enters me into there. But as far as how do I connect, outside of maybe my father being an immigrant from Brazil, there is no truth of how I'm connected outside of personal enjoyment.
Wow. And where's your mother from?
My mother is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Do you know much about your father's lineages as being a Brazilian? Okay.
Absolutely.
And so, do you know that Brazilian culture is highly influenced by African culture?
Absolutely. See, the thing is, though, I know my father's bloodline is connected to a specific tribe. I believe there was 2 or 3 of them that actually got stationed in Brazil way back in the day. I'm just not familiar of the tribe that my father is from, but I have seen family pictures and artwork and clothing from way back when. My father is a very tan man. I came out like my mother.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. How is it from your perspective, because you're dating someone that's black, right?
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
No, not just dating. I am getting married, fiance.
Okay. Now, how can you make your wife equal to you in society? Because it's cool that you have a black fiance. That's all good. But you have to make her equal to you in society.
Well, the reality to that question is inside of the personal, relationship we have, she will always be my equal, if not higher than me. The reality of society of her being my equal, the only real way for an interracial relationship to have that equal platform is to use, I guess, no filter, respectfully, my privilege in society to allow her, not to say special treatment, but knowing that I have this privilege allows me to shed that light, or whatever you choose to define it as, for her to be in that circle, versus if I wasn't with her, or if society took its own course. You understand what I'm saying? So in the sense of how can she be equal in society? By being the best protector and fiance and make sure she never feels an ounce of pain. To the reality of that's the best answer, because other than that, society is society, my man. You know what I mean? That's really, if you're enlightened, you understand, and you look enlightened.
I get you. So let me ask you a question. Are you willing to pick up a gun? You know what I'm saying? To destroy the system that marginalizes and psychologically destroys your wife's people and her. Are you willing to pick up a gun to go at that system?
Absolutely, man. I'm a licensed firearm carrier. Look, I'm probably the right one you ran into, because I believe in the opposite of what the palm of my hand stands for in America. You have to understand, my father came here in a completely separate standard, you know what I mean? He is not an American, he's an immigrant. And not saying that justifies my means in America, but just to, you know what I mean? Because the truth is that they tell you don't belong, and maybe that is the truth, but for me, I defy the odds. I go against the grain. I love where I come from, I love my family, I love my fiance. So the idea of what you said is there really is none of that. Would I raise a gun to protect my family? Absolutely. A life for a life. If someone tried to jump in my family or my fiance's family, knowing that the opposite race, I'll lay them down. That's my family, and that's I'm not trying to sound tough on camera or I am the opposite of a tough guy. But for my family and what I love, it's my life or your life, and I want to live more. I want to prosper more.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question. Do you guys have any children?
Not yet.
Okay. How can you, as a, I would say white man, right? How can you actually be a father to a black child? Because that child's going to be black, right? Genetically and phenotypically. How can you honestly be a father to a black child in a racist society? What advice can you give your black child?
The advice that I could give my black child on the day that I have one is understanding how you are a black man, I'm a white man, and raising them on the understanding of who you are, but the actions need to be in the median. So yes, you need to recognize that I am a white father, your mother is black, you have family members that are black, and you are going to be DNA-wise a black man, and understanding that is how he will be raised, but the actions and the course of that need to be approached in the middle, because not necessarily they have to be, but initially, as like growing up, of course, because you don't want to rock any boats too early. That's for him and his journey as a man to decide where he stands. So, he has, I guess, in a sense, somewhat the best of both worlds. That's not the best way to describe it, but making sure he's aware of who he is, what he is, and the choices he has as that man, and not letting race play a factor, but only giving him the truth. And if you're enlightened, that's the best way to say it. It's not even necessarily the truth. You need to be enlightened, educated as a man to understand the racial differences and what is and what isn't, and this isn't. You know what I mean?
Now, I have one last question for you. Can I call on you when it's time to pick up a gun to destroy this system? Because it is a system, right? Racism is kind of like a social construct, right? Designed to destroy African people, right? Spiritually, economically, in all ways, right?
Look, I'm someone who's very much enlightened. Like for me, I have a lot of, not that it justifies the means, like I don't want to come up here sounding ignorant or stupid, because I have black friends that justifies what I'm about to say. It does not. The system that I believe in America is more geared to make me more thriving than the next black man. It's just this, I do not agree with the system. Fuck Donald Trump. And if you asking me, would I raise a gun against racism? Of course I would. I'd shoot Donald Trump in the face if I could. For me, I'm about what's right and what's equal. It's not about race and size. We all bleed the same blood. We all come from, where we come from. But the reality is that I grew up in a privileged society. My son won't grow up in that privileged arena because of me, or my wife, or whatever it might be. I'm not going to be around all the time, and it's ugly, it's disgusting. I don't stand for racism, and I got my burner when we ready to go to war. I'm one of those white boys who are willing to go to war for unjust racism and everything that is wrong with the system. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck any type of racism. And I'm not trying to curse, once again, to sound tough. I'm just very enlightened, and I stand for the opposition of what racism is, meaning I don't stand for racism. My family went through the Holocaust. I have no family because of that. Racism doesn't exist in my life.
Well, I thank you, Dre, and I appreciate that. And that statement was a hypothetical statement of shooting Trump in the face, because we definitely don't want to go that far. That was hypothetical for entertainment purposes. All right? Well, I appreciate you. One last question. I just want to throw this out there, if you don't know this, right? Genetically, there are differences between white and black people, right? Genetically, there are differences. Like, for example, if your wife was to come down with some type of cancer, you can't give her bone marrow. She can only receive bone marrow, from another African person, right? The level of melanin that she possesses is different, So we have to understand the differences, accept the differences, and build on the differences as African people, as European people. And the conversation just can't be one-sided. It has to be equal. But I appreciate you for your time, brother. You know what I'm saying? If you want to watch this, it's on Brother Hassan on YouTube, all right? Thank you.
I appreciate that, Jack. JCC_music, Instagram.
Peace, family. Who do I have here with me?
Darrell Rashad.
Okay. Now, where do you derive from, brother?
I derive from Miami. My dad from Miami, my mom from Jamaica, but I'm African.
Okay. All right. So you said something about my shirt earlier, so yeah. I'm assuming you know about Marcus Garvey and his teachings.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Have you ever been to Jamaica?
Yeah, I've been to Jamaica, and I've been to the Marcus Garvey Museum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have you noticed the decline as far as economical power within Jamaica? Like, you have Asians coming there, you have Arabs coming there, you have all types of people coming there. And one thing that Marcus Garvey stood for is that he stood for black unity. Yeah. What is going on in Jamaica? And not only in Jamaica, it's a worldwide problem. What is going on where...
What's going on with the African diaspora is that, Africans are letting other nations come into their land, like in the islands and Africa, and then also in the United States community, and they letting them integrate for millions of dollars, or like for China, they're integrating most of, they integrated in Jamaica, they integrated in Haiti, and all different places. All they giving the Caribbean is just money and stuff. So we're letting go of our land, we letting go of our economics, and we letting go of our mind and stuff and our power just for a few buildings and a highway and a few millions that's going into corrupt people's pocket anyways.
Now, how do we reverse that cycle? Because when I talk about Pan-Africanism, hold on for a second. How do we reverse that cycle? And I'm going to cut it short because I see this beautiful queen over here. How do we reverse that cycle? You know what I'm saying? Because when I often talk, a lot of people call me racist from the way I speak, but I'm only speaking to the teachers of Marcus Garvey. How do we reverse that element within our psychology where we feel like we just got to let everybody in our group?
To reverse it, we got to start with the younger generation, because the older generation, it's like in the Bible and so many different eras that you had to weed out the older generation because some of them are stubborn. So I say focus on the younger generation and build up that education, and we need to take back power. We need power in our economics, we need power in political, and we need power in social, and we need to build a black family, because the family is the main thing. And if you have the father there, that's very powerful. So the most important thing is building up the black family. That's the most important.
I appreciate you, brother. You definitely closed that out on a good segment. I appreciate you, brother. Peace, peace, family. Who do I have here with me?
I'm Yvette Williams.
Okay. And what's your ethnicity?
I'm California.
Well, that's a state.
I'm American.
American. That's kind of like, we can go with that answer. So you're a descendant of an African.
Yes.
Okay. So you're out here enjoying yourself at the Jerk Fest, correct?
Yes, with the Rastafarians. I came here from Sacramento, California. I'm on my way to Jamaica cruise. Yeah.
So you admire the Jamaican, African culture?
Yes, I love the culture. I love the food. It's my 5th time to Jamaica. And so this was my first cruise. So it'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, how are you treated by your African brothers and sisters on the island?
Awesome. A queen, and they all are kings, the way they treat each other.
Are you familiar with this gentleman that I have on my shirt right here?
No.
Not at all? Okay, do you mind if I give you a brief history on him?
Why not? I love it.
This gentleman's name is Marcus Garvey. He was from Jamaica. He's a national hero in Jamaica. And he came from Jamaica to America in around 1911. And he noticed throughout the diaspora, throughout the world, that African people, black people, descendants of Africans, were at the bottom. And so he created this flag right here, which is the red, black, and green flag. And he said, this is our national flag. As a people, as a race, who we are, we should be waving this flag.
By somebody, by who we are, a person. Yeah.
Correct. And, I noticed that a lot of people of Jamaican descent actually don't know a lot about Marcus Garvey, right? Now, he led the biggest movement here in America. He actually influenced the Black Panther Party, right? Malcolm X's father was actually in the Garvey movement, right? So Malcolm X was directly affected by his teachings, right? Elijah Muhammad. The movements that came out of America was founded by Marcus Garvey.
Oh, I know about the Muslim history.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to give me a little history about the Bay, about the Black Panthers?
I know about the Black Panthers, but it's a history where I had to watch a movie to understand it. Yeah. It's sad that a lot of our Afro-American women or men don't understand the cultures or where we come from or how we wind up coming here. Yeah.
Are you aware of being from California that the FBI and the government started a drug fund? Because a lot of people may know that crack kind of started in the West Coast. It kind of influenced in the West Coast. And the reason being is because you had the Black Panther Party, right? Coming out of the West Coast. And so their whole initiative was to destroy the mental faculties of people of the Black Panther Party. Do you still see that happening in California, in the Bay, to this day?
Yes, when they try to unite and have meetings and stuff like that, like, I'm sorry to say, but our president wants to put up a wall. Is he going to put up a wall and make everybody different we all have to be separated and not united in one.
But don't you think in a way we're already separated as a people, as far as white, black, Latino? Like, we like to think that we're multicultural, right? But here in America, there's no such thing. There's a European culture, and everybody else must fall in line to that European culture.
Yes, it has been mixed up. And we still have prejudices. That's what a lot of people are still messed up in their lives are. When they see an Afro-American woman or with a Caucasian guy, but we all are one in God's eyes, in the Lord's eyes, and we all pray to the same gods. Maybe we have the kings and queens here in Africa and Jamaica. Yes, we pray to our gods also too.
You know what, Queen? I agree with what you said 100%. We're all God's children, right? We're all equal in God's eyes, but not in the white man's eyes. No. Not in the white man's eyes. Definitely not in the white man's eyes. So we must understand that religion and being one in God's eyes does not protect us from destruction, you know what I'm saying, and genocide as a people.
Of the living ones. Of the living, the ones that have to play, they're playing with the power that they have. Yeah.
I thank you for your time, Queen. I love you. Enjoy your trip, okay, to Jamaica. All right, and you can view this on Brother Hassan on YouTube. All right, and check it out. Definitely, I appreciate your time, Queen.
All right. Thank you for having me and listening to my comments.